let's talk about the rift on the right now when it comes to this issue. And I said I was going to leave this issue, but we're kind of leaving it. We're going into the weeds a little bit more on the conversational dynamics. Let's put it that way. That's a big word, but it's less about the nuance of the issue itself and more about the conversational dynamics and the people who are having these conversations. So let's talk about Candace Owens. Candace Owens, someone I disagree with on a lot of issues. Her stance on, women's reproductive rights, for example, I think is garbage. However, Candace Owens is intellectually consistent, unlike a lot of her counterparts on the right. And so I caught this clip of her talking to Tucker Carlson about Ben Shapiro, kind of, the rift between her and Ben Shapiro. And this is really good. It's a little long, but I think it's worth watching because it gave me a newfound respect for Candace Owens.
Which suggests it could be right. That's usually a tell. And speaking of, so I was out of the country yesterday and didn't have adequate internet access on the plane to really follow this. And I don't understand the context exactly, but the internet was dominated yesterday by video of Ben Shapiro, who you work with at the Daily Wire, I think it's fair to say, attacking you. Here's the video. I just want to get your reaction to it.
Yes, the question is about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt. Yeah, she still works for my company. And I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
So maybe there's a point in the video where he explains what exactly you did wrong and how you were wrong.
Everyone can see the moves that she's making. That piece of language right there is funny to me because anyone who speaks out against or speaks nuance on this issue is immediately called a terrorist sympathizer, pro-Hamas, whatever. So it's not like there's anything to gain by having the take that Candace Owens has. I
haven't seen it. But to call somebody, quote, absolutely disgraceful, particularly a coworker, seems like a pretty big step. What? And I really don't know the background here. What is that about?
There isn't much of a background. I saw the video when everybody else saw it when I woke up.
No one warned you about it.
Nobody warned me about it. It looks like maybe he didn't know he was being recorded. It looks like it was some sort of a private event. I got no clarity on the issue that he was particularly speaking on. And in what was said, I can't respond to it beyond what he's saying because it's just ad hominem attacks. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not, we disagree or I don't think she's correct or maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, exactly. And so I can't respond to it on a level of intellect because there's nothing that he has expressed in that, at least in that short clip, that he fundamentally disagrees with in terms of what I said. But I will say that I'm not going to respond with the same ad hominem attacks. Yes. I don't think it helps further discussion. And if that was me that was caught on a video saying that about colleagues that I work with, I would be embarrassed. So I think that the video
Yeah, she has some consistency.
Video speaks more to Ben's character than it speaks to mine.
Has he texted you to apologize or explain or anything?
No, nothing. I haven't heard a single word.
Let's keep in mind that Ben Shapiro is the facts don't care about feelings guy, who's much like Tim Pool, insanely emotional about this issue.
Sort of something that he said. And you know what? Ben and I have many disagreements, so I don't think that that's particularly something that's interesting. We disagreed on the COVID vaccine. We disagree on Ukraine and Russia. He has taken virtually every stance that has been the opposite of mine on every issue over the last 5 years. So I don't think that that's particularly remarkable.
Vaccine. Really, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, he was pro the COVID vaccine. I was anti the vaccine. We were all.
That is interesting. I did not see that. Ben Shapiro is obviously, someone I would expect to have those kind of views, but hey.
All idiots for not getting the vaccine. So that's totally fine. I am totally open to people having a difference in opinion.
Right.
I would hope that amongst colleagues that it would always be a civil disagreement. And I would never in a private event stand on a table and talk badly about Ben.
It's a little weird. So he was on the left on those three biggest issues of our time, is what you're saying?
He has converted his opinions. He's accepted responsibility. He said, I was wrong about the vaccine.
Oh, good.
He is, obviously pro.
Hey, that I respect. I respect anyone who has the humility to admit when they're wrong on something like that. So if he really did that, cheers to Ben Shapiro.
Pharma, his mom's a doctor. And I say to people, I'm very aware of my perspectives on Big Pharma, and I talk about it on my show openly. And I think that that's a tremendous credit to the Daily Wire that they allow a difference of opinions. But I, as I said, hope that it would remain respectful and that you wouldn't throw your colleagues under a bus, so to speak.
I think that's fair. And just for clarity, because I really don't know, is he your boss? Does he?
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about Ben's involvement. He's not the CEO of the Daily Wire. He is not making the daily decisions at the Daily Wire. And I do want to make it very clear, because people are like, how could you possibly save Daily Wire after this? I have a very good relationship with the co-CEOs of the Daily Wire. Especially right now, the acting CEO is Caleb Robinson. He's a wonderful person. He's worked very hard to be where he's at. We have a lot in common that we connect on. And so people don't get to see that, which is unfortunate. Ben lives in Florida. He's not a part of the day-to-day movement of the Daily Wire. The rest of the hosts have their shows situated in Nashville. So we see each other every day. We talk. There's great camaraderie. And there's actually more agreement. There's actually a lot of people that are.
So just a quick aside here. If what she's saying about the Daily Wire is true, respect to them for being intellectually consistent and valuing free speech on this issue as they do hopefully on every other issue.
As I describe myself, just pro-America first. And I think I've been that way consistently throughout my political career. Whether people agree with it or not in different moments is up for debate. But I don't want that video to become a reflection of how the Daily Wire works and the Daily Wire operates, because I have had a very good experience with the CEOs, and love Michael Knowles, love Matt Walsh, Andrew Klavan. We all get along really great.
Well, it certainly speaks well of the Daily Wire then. So it's not, a clip like that on the internet, oh, Candace Owens is out or something. That's doesn't sound like that's what it means at all.
Yeah, no, it's a small group of people. We see each other every day. Right. Brett Cooper is another one who just joined about 2 years ago. She's great. She's up and coming. And there's a lot of stuff that we're working on. And that's why I think this video is even more unfortunate, because people see him as a figurehead, rightfully so, of the Daily Wire. And it allows people to, speak energy into the Daily Wire that isn't necessarily there, because he's not there on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, that's very.
So quick aside, could you imagine how popular it would be if Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro had like a 2-hour long or an hour-long podcast and debated each other on this issue? Honestly, I would watch it. I think it would be great to see them talk about this issue. And if they're listening, they're probably not, but hey, take my idea and run with it. That would be very interesting to see a Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Israel debate. Quote me on it.
Very interesting. So if we could take 3 steps back and give us the context for this debate, how are you on different sides of it? I haven't heard you endorsing Hamas, like you're not. No.
Well, I have not endorsed Hamas in any way, and yet people have interpreted things that I say, or actually rather things that I don't say. It's becoming very much reminiscent to me, and why I have used my platform to say this, of Black Lives Matter.
Huh. It's just like if you support Trump, you're a white supremacist. If you are critical of Israel in any way, you're an anti-Semite.
Or if you don't say anything, they say your silence is violence. If you say something and it's even-handed and it's nuanced, which is to say, during the times of Black Lives Matter, you might say, I don't support police brutality. Who does? I don't support racism. Who does? But also, I think that police are a crucial part of every city. We need to have policing in cities. So these calls to defund the police are immoral and wrong and are going to lead to more Black deaths. People didn't want that nuance. When following George Floyd, there was no nuance. You had to explicitly say, defund the police. You had to post a black square. If you didn't post a black square on Instagram, by the way, specifically on the platform of Instagram, and you maybe were busy that day, maybe you were in another country, maybe you just didn't log on to Instagram, you were accused of being a racist.
This is such a great analogy, comparing the Black Lives Matter movement to this, because it is very analogous in a lot of ways. And I love her for that. Brilliant, brilliant comparison.
I'm seeing a lot of that behavior right now when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a conflict that...
And not even brilliant, she's Black, so she has firsthand experience with this. I mean, it's just personal experience, really.
I have seen every single person, including myself, condemn what happened on October 7th. Because who wouldn't condemn terrorism? It's obvious.
Exactly.
Who would not condemn innocent Israelis dying? But if you then say that it is also sad when an innocent Palestinian child dies, suddenly this is pro-Hamas, or you need to say, even when you're talking about how sad it is that a child dies, you need to button that statement by saying, but that child was a human shield. That's not going to be my response. First off, as a mother, that's not going to be my response as somebody who is about to give birth. When I see these images of children involved on both sides of the conflict, I've pointed to the people that are mocking dead Israeli children. And
listen to this. Candace Owens sounds like Abby Martin and Rania Kalik. This is insane. This is why I keep saying, and a lot of people who see the game keep saying, left and right are meaningless terms. What we need to do is drill down to where we agree on these issues. And I'll go you one further and say, listen, I think that the term America First means almost the same thing as progressivism. Think about what it means. America First means stopping the wars and bringing the money home, funding, giving money into communities, spending money in America instead of in foreign lands. That's progressive. What she's saying right here sounds like a progressive view on Israel. Hey, we can support Israel without condoning and funding genocide. This is insane. And no one's talking about this. Candace Owens and Abby Martin. Abby Martin should have Candace Owens on. They should talk about this because there is a common thread on both sides of the political spectrum in a lot of these issues. Ukraine is another one. I think healthcare, even now, a lot of conservatives have come around to see, hey, they might, if you frame it in a different way, the government just pays for it. The government doesn't control it, just like they pay for our wars. You could bring conservatives around to supporting national healthcare. I truly believe that. Call it America First. It's all in the language that we're using. And I think that is just so true. Alan Grayson talked about this in a bit I did on a previous stream, where he talked about bringing Republicans around to progressive ideas using language that appeals to them. And I think America First, that's why it was called a racist thing, to keep progressives away from it, to say, oh, well, I'm not with that because that's racist. No, it's not. America First is not racist. Now, there might be elements that you could point to that have racist tones to them, maybe, I'll listen to a valid debate about that. But let's think about it in these terms, and let's wrap this clip up real quick.
And said that they are horrific. I am even keel on this matter. And yet people think that you need to be extreme. So people that have become more radical and extreme are perceiving a moderate stance as not enough. And
because I was about to say, people can disagree with you or agree with you or whatever, but you certainly don't seem radical on this topic.
I'm definitively not radical. My stance has not changed in terms of whether or not America should be involved in this conflict. Whether we were talking about Afghanistan, my comments have been clear. They've been documented for years. Whether we are talking about Ukraine and Russia, my comments have been clear and they have been documented. I mean, you can go back to me even talking about NATO expansion before things erupted between Russia and Ukraine, and having a meaningful discussion about how much expansion is too much expansion. How would we feel if we had troops on our border? These are things that should be allowed in an academic discussion. You should be able to sit on stage and should be able to debate these ideas without using ad hominem attacks.
No, they should be censored, according to Elon Musk and Tim Pool.
Say that you're a pro-Putin puppet or you're pro-terrorism, even in the aftermath of 9/11, something that we all remember as part of my childhood. I think I was in 7th grade at the time, and I'm born in the New York City area, so this was a very big deal. If a person the day after 9/11 wanted to debate the Patriot Act, it's not fair to call them terrorist sympathizers.
No.
Actually, they would have been proven right in the long run. That act, we gave up a lot of our freedoms. And I think there was only one congressman, a Republican, that was against the Patriot Act at that time. So it's important, actually, when you start making decisions in a highly emotional time, that people sit down and have these academic debates. And there are people that are saying, no, it doesn't matter because people are dead, that you need to just choose a side, and that needs to be it. It needs to become tribal.
And I applaud Candace Owens again for nailing it and being intellectually consistent on this issue, which is so rare.